So a little update for the Velodyne. I had to find a motor that was at least on par, and this one, it does a good job of that. This is an incriminator lethal injection. It's the newer one, but I think they were out of the 8-spoke frame, so they went with the traditional 12-spoke frame. This is aluminum coil. Not that you need to know that, but somebody really cooked it. And then just wanted to give you a peek at the double spider. And then those are like just sewn, they're not glued. Again, I don't know why people don't glue and stitch them. It's like 25 cents more for glue. I don't know, sometimes it's supply, just like this. This should be the 8-spoke frame, but it's the 12-spoke frame. So I had Sherry clean this up. This one's good to go. It's a standard 3-inch, good for 4-layer. I do like that Nick put the multiple bolt hole patterns. It looks like it has the 127, 135, and then I'm thinking this might be like the 155 or 160 out there. It doesn't really matter because we're going to use the 127, which is the smallest pattern on there. Standard. Me and Sherry worked together as a team to get this off in one piece, and then we trimmed off the surround so that it's just a gasket. I'll go ahead and grind that with the air grinder, and then finish grinding this one. We just used a chisel. We started a spot, and then we got the chisel in there, and then we used a 2x4 to just whack it all the way around. So an air chisel would have been better, but a lot of times I've used an air chisel, and it's a little too violent, and you break the frame. So just doing it by hand was fine. So this one has I like this one because it has a nice 8-inch spider landing, and then I'm going to go ahead and use probably the TC9 coil, which I think is 45 millimeter, which is more than what they used. They were using 33 millimeter. I also measured the coils. The coils were 2-layer series aluminum, came up to a 3.6 ohm load. So the amp takes a 4 ohm load. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and use a D2 copper. Again, about 40, maybe 40, 45 millimeter wine height copper coil. And this is pretty standard. I should be able to fit it in there. And then we're going to go ahead and hardwire that in series to get a 4 ohm load. And then what I'm going to be able to do is double up the leads to each terminal. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and put one terminal on each side, so it still has the tabs. So I'm going to put one spring terminal on each side. Now this one inside the box uses a pigtail, which is inferior, but a lot of these guys prefer the pigtail that comes with it, and which is just spade connectors. And so what I'll do is I'll just make a piece of wire that has a spade connector on it so they can easily connect to the spade. They hate cutting off the head and then putting raw wire in there, which is actually better. But again, these guys are, and I'm not talking about this guy. I've already talked to this particular client, but in general, they're typically older men, and they are just very particular. I ran into that problem with the Sunfire recones that we were doing. And a lot, again, when I would upgrade to push terminals, they objected. They wanted the little spade on there, and I was like, okay, like that's you know, they don't know any better. And so again, it's one of those things where it's like when your mom buys a phone and she's like, well, I guess I'll get the iPhone 17 since it's free, you know, and it's like $100 a month payments for the next 3 years, you know, something like that. But anyways, this one's going to be beefier and battered. It'll actually take up less space as far as the rear of the sub. I'm actually going to do 10 millimeter spacers underneath for venting, so that way he can run this thing all day long. And like I said, when I drop off, I want to look at the amp and just see what the current rating is on the back of it. It should be about a 500 watt amp. And again, that's plenty for this, especially for home. And it's going to be just very nice, very compliant suspension. We're going with the Memphis LVS cone, which I think out of courtesy to his buddy Glenn at NCA Labs, Lord of Bass does not advertise the cone as the Memphis LVS cone, even though it was used on the Mojo and on the LVS. So, but what it is it's a 38 or 40 millimeter tall roll, rubber surround, probably Santoprene, something very, very durable. The only downside, and a very sturdy cone, 3-inch opening. The only downside is that it has a divot. Let me see if I got it. Let me go grab it real quick. So this is the standard cone. This was used on a Dyer Brahma RE audio for a long time. I think this is a 35 millimeter foam surround, medium body cone. This one has a 2-inch cutout. I would of course make it 3-inch, but that was an option. Oh, and then let me get the cap. I wanted to show the cap that I was able to salvage. So this one also has a divot. I was not able to find the LVS cone, but I know I picked one up from Brian the other day. So this is the original dust cap. The glue just snapped off right at the edge. It was really easy. So there's that look. Pretty, you know, generic. You can do that. These are all 180 millimeter. That, and then we have the other colors. Concave 180 millimeter poly, 180 millimeter copper. The cool thing about these caps is they're made with aramid fibers on both sides, glass fiber on both sides, and so sometimes you can flip it over, and depending on what they use, that's also a nice look too. And then I do a fat bead of epoxy right around there. So, and then of course the faux Kevlar, and same with this one. So sometimes it's whatever people prefer. I don't want to kink shame you. See, like this one was the blue gray, and then it's got a finer mesh on the back. So that one looks cool too. I like that one. We also have the 180 concave carbon fiber. That one may be questionable because typically you need a nice long neck underneath the cone. Typically we can only use this one when the coil is 2.5 inch or smaller, because otherwise it makes the cone short and then it'll hit the top of the coil. We don't want to do that. We also have the red. Everybody likes the red. And then the backside is like a more textured black. Again, that looks cool. And then this is the concave faux Kevlar. And that's just one cone. I got like 3 other cones. So this one looks nice too. It has the leads already built in, but this is from the concept closeouts. And then let me go through all the caps real quick and let me know your feedback on them. Convex, copper, textured backside, rojo, azul gris, of course the classic carbon fiber, concave matching poly, and then the original. And of course, if I can, I'll use a inner cap to keep the back pressure from having any chance of pushing this cap off, the outer cap off. So we don't want that. Another good alternative is the 5 series. This is the Johnny 5, 15-inch cone with black stitch. That's the original, and then I put the gasket back on there. So it'll be a different fit. We'll have to clamp it and everything like that into place. Carbon fiber, blue-gray glass fiber, red convex, copper convex, and faux Kevlar convex. I'll have to look through my stashes. I can't, right now I'm super unorganized, but I got to make UPS right now. So I'm going to go do that. And then let me know your feedback on what you prefer. So love you guys.